am ready. I hope my voice is clear.
Yes, my dear Zoha, it's clear. And now we are live. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Tanvina. Thank you so much. And good evening, everyone. I hope you all are doing great. Thank you so much. Some of you already know me, but those fellows who are not, like, who do not have any interaction with me, I am Zoha Hussain, and I serve as the head of community outreach department at Women Ascension. And I am very happy to moderate today's session as part of our 1 million leadership fellowship mentorship series, where we bring together inspiring voices and emerging leaders to share their experiences and help us to learn and grow together. So this is the prime motto of our organization, that we believe that knowledge becomes more powerful when it is shared, and that mentorship can open doors to opportunities that many young people might not otherwise have access to. So considering the view in our mind, we are having a very important conversation today on a very important topic, that is storytelling and global journalism, and how to transform available news resources into opportunities. Um, in a world where we are constantly surrounded by information, storytelling becomes the bridge that helps us to understand the complex realities. Journalism today is not just about reporting fact, it is about discovering the deeper human stories behind those facts and asking meaningful questions and presenting information in ways that inspire awareness, dialogue, and change. Furthermore, we will be learning in this session through our mentor, Ms. Cynthia. And one thing is that throughout the session, we will explore how storytelling shapes journalism and media, how journalists identify and analyze information from various sources, and how, like, these resources can be transformed into compelling and impactful stories. And the most important part is that, like, responsible reporting, research, and verification in the era where information spread rapidly across the digital platforms. So our speaker will be addressing these things, and we are very happy. We are very honored to have an inspiring young journalist and media literacy advocate joining us today for guiding us on this important topic. Our mentor, Ms. Cynthia Ebot Takang, is an award-winning Cameroonian journalist and media information literacy trainer based on Yaoundé, Cameroon. She currently reports for EcoFin agency and contributes to several international media platforms, including Global Voices, Minority Africa, and Mixed Migration Review. Beyond journalism, Ms. Cynthia is deeply passionate about youth empowerment and digital literacy. She co-founded Mentes Libres, an initiative that teaches digital skill to vulnerable children affected by the ongoing crisis in Cameroon. And her work in investigative reporting and advocacy has also gained international recognition. So, despite being early in her career, Ms. Cynthia has already demonstrated how powerful storytelling and journalism can be in creating awareness and impact. And through her journey, we see that it reflects dedication, courage, and a strong commitment to using media as a tool for change. And we are very delighted to have Ms. Cynthia with us today. And thank you so much for giving us your time. We are ready to hear from you, and the floor is yours. You may now take the lead and guide us on this topic.
Okay, thank you very much, Zoha Hussain. Thank you so much. Can you just please confirm that you can get me clearly?
Yes, I can get you very clearly.
Okay, please, before we begin, maybe all of the fellows can introduce themselves in the chat box so that at least I can have a global idea of where each and every person is from and maybe who I'm talking to at least, because I think I've already been presented, so at least I should know in the chat who are the various profiles of the various fellows. So please do that while the presentation is starting. And since I've already been presented, we're just going to go straight to it. Our session today is titled Storytelling and Global Journalism, How to Transform Available News Resources into Opportunities. So we are going to be learning, first of all, storytelling, and then just a little glimpse into global journalism. And then I'll also be telling you how to transform your own story into opportunities. Sorry, it's going to be like a monologue since it's online and we cannot really be as interactive as I like. So maybe at the end, just note down all the questions you have, and anything you want to discuss further. I'll have a little task for you at the end, and it'll be a little something like assignment, so we can just keep in touch. So for the agenda, we are going to have a little welcome and introduction. We're going to start with what is a story, why a story matters, where to find stories, and then how to tell a simple yet powerful story. Why these stories matter, where to find stories, and sharing true and responsible stories. Then we're going to talk about some women's voices, leadership through storytelling, turning stories into opportunities, and then we'll have a little activity, which is sharing a story from your personal life or your experience, and then we'll have a key lesson and some final inspirations. So firstly, today we'll learn how to tell stories that inform. So first of all, why does storytelling matter? Because it's very important that you're taking out your time this Sunday to be here and be connected to this session. So why is your presence here important, and why does it matter? We begin with this powerful quote that says, every one of us has a story to tell, and stories have the power to educate, inspire, and even create change, especially in our community and even in our personal lives. A story is something simple that happened. Story helps people understand what happened, who it affects, and why it matters. For example, let's take the example of a girl called Mary, for example, who lost her home during the flood and she now struggles to find shelter. If we're talking about Mary, what is Mary's story? Mary's story is that she became homeless due to the flood and now she struggles with shelter. That's why it's very important to be able to craft a narrative around your personal experiences. Why stories matter? Stories teach people, firstly, new things about yourself, about a community, about an environment. They give a voice to those not heard. If, for example, I see many of the scholars are from Afghanistan, there are a lot of powerful stories there from women. It tells us new things and it gives us a new perspective. Why would a stranger want to visit Afghanistan one day? Or why would a stranger want to know, what will a stranger want to know about Afghanistan? So by telling your story, you're giving the world an opportunity to know a new thing about yourself and about your area. If you've experienced something and then you tell someone will now know that, oh, this is what happened here. So you've helped to educate people and give a voice to those who have not heard. Help communities solve problems. And when you highlight these stories, you then help communities to solve problems. And then you also inspire change. And what is change? Change inspires opportunities. Stories are everywhere, so don't ask yourself that, where do I see stories? You can't hold it, but stories are everywhere, basically. You can find stories at home, in your community, at markets, in social media, among your friends and family. So if you are thinking about telling a story, ask yourself today, what story from my community deserves to be told? What story from my community deserves to be told? So as we are going through the session, begin to ponder on that and just note down the key points somewhere. What story in my community deserves to be told? It must not be something big. It can be something small. But what is it that you want to share to teach someone out there in the world a new thing, to give a voice to those who have not been heard, and to help communities solve problems? I don't know, I'll just like take examples about Afghanistan because I saw many women, the first chats I saw are from there. Sorry for the others. I'll try to do more research when I know the nationalities of all those in the chat box. Women in Afghanistan have gone really through a lot, and I know that after the Taliban regained power, you guys face major restrictions. There are so many things I believe the world doesn't know about women in Afghanistan, able to attend schools. And so for you, even if you're not into communication or a journalist, you can decide to tell these stories. There are women who have shared theirs on social media. Even if you don't have access to social media, just telling someone. You tell someone who has access, or you tell people, that person will tell another person, and then this ripple effect is going to give women the power that they need in society. So we are going to be studying nextly how to tell a simple story. So you ask yourself, use this formula when you're telling a story. Ask yourself firstly, in the slide before, we saw how to In the slide before, we saw where to find stories and why they matter. So by now in your head, you're already thinking, what story my community? You can note that down somewhere. You're going to need it later. So later, don't say I didn't tell you. Now, when you've noted that down, you ask yourself, when you want to tell the story or when you're crafting the story, who is this story about? If it's a story about you, you write yourself, your name. You can note the question down if you have something to write on. Who is this story about? It can be about you, it can be about your mom, it can be about someone in your community, it can be about a town, it can be about a country. What happened exactly? And now this can be very long, but this is where the power of summarizing comes in. When you're summarizing, what do you give? The key names, the key dates, and the key points that matter that will help somebody understand. So when they say what happened, it can be very tempting to go and start giving the whole history of everything. We started from here, but be very simple. When you're telling what happened, on this day, this woman did this, and this was the consequence, or this was the impact. You ask yourself, why is it important? I believe that everything is important. If you think it is important, it's important because your story can be a snake beats you one day as you were going to school or as you were walking the street, and then because of that, you hated snakes. It sounds very insignificant to another person, but to you, it's important. That's the story you have to tell. So you ask yourself, why is it important? It's very important because it made you develop, let's say, a certain hatred towards a certain species of animals. Just an example like that to help you understand. And then you ask yourself, what can people learn? Because the importance of sharing a story is for people to be able to learn something at least. Learn something from your story and then be able to share it out. You must learn something, and then when you share it, people are able to firstly learn from your story and then learn new things, like I said before. So I just gave a little example here. A group of girls walk 5 kilometers every day to school. They never give up, and then they start sharing their stories. And then thanks to them sharing their stories of walking every day, people on the internet see it, and then this inspires their local authorities to provide bikes for the community. We have everything. Who is the story about? The group of girls. What happened? They walk 5 kilometers every day to school and they decided to start sharing their story. Why is it important? Because it addresses a key issue in the community, which is what transport sector. And then what is it that people can learn? The government learns that they needed to provide bikes in the community. People learned that these girls have this issue and then they decided to solve it. So always check that your story is true, first of all. If you're saying something about yourself, make sure that you remember the facts correctly. That's why I spoke about writing it down. If something pertinent happens to you, good or bad, I don't want to use bad, good or bad, make sure to write it down. Write it down somewhere. If it's a personal story, if it's a news story, make sure you get the facts correctly, because I would not want you to restrict yourself to say you cannot write about certain countries. If you're writing about certain countries, it would also be good to make sure that you have all the information correctly. Even if the information is not correct, ensure to get it from a reputable source like Reuters, like BBC, like ABC News, like Ecofin Agency. Like there are so many news resources online that you can verify, so that if you have an issue tomorrow and someone asks, where is this thing from? You say, okay, I didn't know it was not true. I took it from the BBC. I took it from CNN. That shields you. So be very careful and be sure that whenever you're sharing a story, it is first of all true. And even if it is not true, at the least it is verifiable, because that's a very important aspect of storytelling. Verifiability, except you're writing fiction. If you're a fiction writer, you're into literature, then you can go in your head and imagine all sorts of things. But this is news we're talking about here, news and personal accounts. It wouldn't be nice for you to exaggerate aspects in your story or downplay your experiences. And then because responsibility always makes people trust your message. When people know that, okay, this is someone who tells her story authentically, you're going to get so many more opportunities. Well, I'm going to talk about women's voices and leadership. Like I said in the beginning, women's stories are very important, very, very important, because over the years, women have gone through a series of from patriarchal society to now a vague of feminism. So now, if up to today, we are still struggling to come out of a patriarchal system. So I believe women's stories are really, really very important to be told in the society. because everybody has a story to tell, but women's stories, I think, are not more important, are equally as important. Because over the years, a group of leaders who were men made women to believe that they should stay home and shut their mouths. But now women are starting to believe that they have places to in government, they have to go out and work, they have to be persons too. These women's stories can highlight education, their struggles with education, health, because there are lots of health issues when it comes to there are a lot of things when it comes to women's health that are either under-researched or under-financed. Something like fibroids. The celebrity Lupita Nyong'o came out and said fibroids have resurfaced. Why is something important such as fibroids not more researched by health professionals around the world? So as a woman, if you have a health challenge or you have a poor encounter with a health facility or official in any hospital, it's always important to come out and share it. Firstly, because there are other women who may have gone through the same story. And secondly, because you are not alone. And by sharing it, if you say, okay, for example, you didn't have a period this month, you just felt some serious pain, and then the chunk like, sorry, I don't know if this is permitted to talk about, but I just feel like I don't know, but menses, I think maybe we're all women here, so maybe we know what I'm talking about. And you just had a chunk of something hard, blood came out, and then you just post it online on Facebook or Twitter, and then remember, okay, I also face this. Is this normal? Is this normal? And then you're going to gather a lot of support. And you're like, okay, this is what's happening. Why is it not researched? You can talk about family challenges. If you're married, if even with your parents, what are the stories that you face? Not saying that you should come and put your personal drama online, but there's a way to carry your narrative, to say what you learned from it. What if it's negative, you can seek for help. You also highlight your achievements. There are powerful women in society, Michelle Obama, Oprah Winfrey. They are women who deserve to be heard. So whenever you win as a woman, no matter how little you think it is, highlight your story. Highlight your story. I like this very important quote from Michelle Obama, which says, "No country can ever flourish if it stifles the potential of its women." So there's no country out here that can ever flourish if it chooses to downplay the women. So you as women who are listening, you should be able to capitalize on these various aspects and tell your story. Tell other story. Tell stories in your community. Now you're going to be asking, how do you do that? You're just at home, you have your mobile phone, you have your laptop. So we're going to talk about some resources to tell your story. You have your social media platforms. If you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, if you're even on WhatsApp, your WhatsApp status, LinkedIn especially. I hope all of you here have LinkedIn accounts. If you have, it would be great to see a little write-up from what you learned on your LinkedIn account or on your Facebook account. So I hope everyone has a LinkedIn account. LinkedIn account is not only LinkedIn platform to get a job, but also to this. By sharing your story, not going to say, okay, my dad did this today. No, that's not the kind of story you're sharing. You're sharing a story that has an impact, that people can learn from, and which has a global view on the society. Those are the kind of stories you're sharing on your personal platforms. There are community gatherings. If you're a woman who is going through domestic abuse or abuse at home, you live in a home where your parents abuse you, if you just say, okay, where you usually fetch water, there are 10 other girls there. You just bring up the topic, and every Thursdays you guys decide to sit and commune over that. That's a form of storytelling. You discuss it, and one day you guys are going to come up with a solution. As they say, 2 heads are better than one. Imagine 10 heads. There are speaking engagements like this one. This is a speaking engagement for me. If I had a story to share, I could have put a session for sharing of stories, and we decided, okay, each person, you're going to give us one thing from somewhere, from your family or from the society that you live in, a story that you think deserves to be heard. And these stories that deserve to be heard are things that also affect others. So if you want to write about it or do a write-up, it's something, okay, I've heard about this thing happening before, even if it's the first time that it's happening to you. You can still put it out there, but putting it out there, the form matters, the grammar matters, the way you do it matters, and how strategic you are about putting it out on platforms like LinkedIn matter. You're not positioning yourself as a victim, but like I said, if you have a gathering or other speaking engagements where you do this, you're positioning yourself as someone who had a problem, who gathered other people and spoke about that problem, and who is now doing something to solve that problem through storytelling. And I bet you through storytelling, you're going to have other opportunities to solve and even attack that problem at higher levels. We're going to now go to the crux of the matter, which is turning stories into opportunities. Now you have your story. You have the thing that what you went through in your community, how access to education was hard. How do you now turn this personal narrative of yours into an opportunity? Firstly, you can write a book. I strongly recommend writing a book or a memoir or an essay at least every single day. And how do you do that? By documenting what you go through. You document. Today this happened, tomorrow that happened. And even if it is not now, when you're in a space where you're better, you can sit down, reflect on those things. And that's a way of putting it out there and telling your story. Next, firstly, you can raise awareness. You teach people about the problems in your community. And by doing so, you inspire actions. And the next thing to turn your story into an opportunity is to have a project. Because you faced barriers to education, you're now grown. For example, you have a job, or you are now working in an organization where you can support women. You decide that you're going to start a project like this one, this very powerful opportunity that Women Ascension has given all of you. You say you are going to start your own project to say that, okay, through this project, I'm going to empower women and ensure that we're going to raise some funds online to see that no child from my community doesn't have funds for their education. That's a very powerful project that you can succeed at. You can open learning opportunities, such as the one that the opportunity that Women Ascension has given you. And then that also helps you to build opportunities, build leadership skills. Because, when you have an issue and then you address it through a project or you talk about it to people, you're going to have the chance to build leadership skills by, first of all, leading that project of yours, by being an advocate for change, because you tell yourself, what I went through, there is no other person that is going to go through that. Some tips: use local examples, local and international examples. What you're going through, you may not be the first, you may be the first, you are not the last. So when you're telling somebody about it, use examples of other women. If it's sexual abuse, these people have been sexually abused before. So I'm adding my voice to them. When you're telling a story, I'm adding my voice to them. But if you want to write it in a news format, when you write, there's a difference between news and an opinion. So when you're storytelling, make it very clear which one you're doing. If it is you're giving news, you're giving your opinion. And then above all of that, there is personal essay and there is fiction, like I was telling you earlier on. So decide which of the forms of storytelling you want to adopt. But I believe all of you are very strong and powerful women and you have personal stories that you want to share. So if you adopt the storytelling for personal essay opinion, then you can use all these tips I'm giving you. Make sure it's true. If you're dealing with news, which is an event that happened, which has a time, date, and there are 5 questions you have to answer: W, who, what, when, why, and then you give how. When you're writing news, those are the kind of questions you answer, but that's mostly for journalists. I don't know if there's any journalists here. If there is, I'll find out in the chat box when I go in. Speak or write confidently. You ask yourself, how can someone tell if I'm writing confidently? Your form of writing: begin your sentences with capital letters. Write the way you speak. So when you speak confidently, you write confidently, your story is definitely going to be heard. You connect it to bigger goals. You say, okay, this is my initiative or what I went through connects. You look for the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Which one does my initiative align with? Like Women Ascension, they have highlighted all the SDGs that their initiatives follow. SG 17, or if it's another one, quality 4, quality education. You give all the SDGs that your initiatives follow. And then you're going to see that it's going to give you a global view and it's going to give you better access to resources to solve these problems. Do a lot of research to find opportunities to train and learn in organizations that fund stories and opportunities. When I say research, you have your laptops and internet. You should use it a lot for a lot of research on Google, on LinkedIn. All the social media platforms you're on should be used for research to find opportunities. Just go on Google, opportunities or organizations that fund women's education. There's the organizations that give global scholarships like MasterCard with very stringent measures sometimes, but there are others that support you and really hold your hand, like Women Ascension is doing during this initiative. When you research these organizations, you learn, you go through these various trainings, you're going to be better, first of all, to lead the solutions to that problem. Because by the end of this session, the goal is for you to be able to firstly identify your story, secondly, identify the problem, thirdly, know how to tell that story in a captivating way, know how to tell that story online and even offline, and then find a way to resolve that problem. Because there are really so many people who complain. People go on TikTok and make think pieces. Why does nobody talk about this? Okay, you start talking about it. Why does nobody? You start talking about it. I hate people who do this. Don't be the person that does that. The aim is to find solutions, and even in the slightest way, start contributing to those solutions. So I don't know, I'm going to go into the chat box now for a few seconds, and we're going to do a little activity. No, we're going to do a little activity. By now, hope you've identified a story in your community. Think about a story from your community. And then while I'm scrolling through the chat box, just think about a little solution that you can advance to that community. That's the first thing we'll do. So I'll go into the chat box and try to read some of the profiles we have. And then maybe I can select a name randomly. Don't be scared. It's just, you just come on. I hope that's allowed. If that's allowed, just give me a thumbs up, moderator.
Yes, it is absolutely allowed. And since these are only fellows, so they can engage.
Okay. Let me just read through. While I'm reading through, do the exercise I said about identifying a problem. You answer the various questions, and then you can propose a little solution that you can develop into a project. Let me read through while you're doing that. I'll just call a name randomly. Zimbabwe. Hope you have pens to do the exercise and it's ongoing well. I'm still scrolling. I think
Sorry, Stupa, could you please mute yourself? If you have any question, please first raise your hand and then we will take your question when it's the right time. Thank you so much. Miss Cynthia, you may continue.
Okay, I think I'd like to hear from Chikondi Fury from Zambia. Chikondi, sorry, very sorry if I mispronounce your name. If you can hear me, please just unmute yourself for 2 minutes and tell us your story. If it's about you, about your community, and then tell us just a little solution. You must not think too deeply. We can even develop it together, but just come on and tell us what you have. Chikondi Fury from Zambia.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity, ma'am.
You're welcome.
So my story is one of the problems that I've noticed that most women in my community encounter is the socioeconomic injustice. So most of them work so hard in various industries, be it in the agri-food system. They work so hard, yet they get paid minimal wages, little money that barely sustains them and their families. So this has been a challenge. And one of the projects that would incur to be a solution to this problem is raising awareness on social economic injustice, ensuring that every woman is appreciated and they get their work is appreciated, so that at least their livelihoods can be changed and developed. Thank you so much.
All right, that's great. Thank you very much for sharing. I think that's a very interesting thing because Like I was reading a story today from Minority Africa. I think I can even share the link about how women, there was I don't know if the others can relate to this, but there's this practice in Nigeria, in countries like Nigeria. I don't know if that's also applicable in Zambia, where boys go and work for a certain master for a certain period of time and then they get paid after some years. So we notice that this practice continues going on, but where are women in this picture? So in the workforce, I think women are really underrepresented. So what can you do, Chikondi? That's a very good story that affects women in your community. So you don't need to go far. On your LinkedIn page, start talking about it. Look for data that supports that. Look for articles and others who have spoken about it. Look for women who have faced that and thrived. If you face that personally, you can turn your LinkedIn and Facebook page into an advocacy for them. And by talking about it, communicating about it, you're going to have from one opportunity to another. And by even collaborating with organizations that work on that, you're going to have so many other opportunities to solve this problem. And even if you cannot solve the problem at your level, you can create a little community group of some of these women and do what when it comes to work, a trade union is very important. So you can develop a little trade union. It seems very unrealistic, but trust me, it's always impossible until it's done. The goal is not to tell stories and complain like others, but the goal is to tell stories and then do something about it. Even at your little level, you're not a journalist whose work is to report. Me, I'm a journalist. I report. When I finish my reporting, I come to my house, I rest and do other things. The company I reported about, I don't care if I care actually, but it's not my business to know if after that they survived or they died. I can do a follow-up, but I'm not obligated to do that. But as a fellow, I believe what Women Ascension wants you guys to do is to be different in your communities and to carry the storytelling and turn them into opportunities. When you start solving that problem, I bet you're not going to put in your head that you're going to make shitload of money or you want popularity, but those are the things that are going to come because you have solving a problem. I believe you're an entrepreneur, so you're familiar with this concept. Hope that's okay, Chikondi. Just confirm before we go to the next person. Chikondi, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you. Thank you so much. And I think you've really given me an idea. Actually, I've already started working on it because early this year,
Great.
I visited some of the women. So I got a footage of them. I interviewed them and got their perspective on the issue. So I
Nice.
just left it because I have the videos. I haven't even done any report, but with your what you have said and your suggestion, I think I'll start working on it. At least just compile a short story or report about it so that their voices can be heard. Thank you so much. I really appreciate.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you too. So next, okay, I thought all these are questions. Okay, I had a dog bite. Okay, I think I'll go back now and maybe we can hear from Brishna from Afghanistan. Brishna, please, if you're here, can you unmute your mic and
Yes,
share
I'm
with
here.
us? Hi.
Yes, ma'am. At first, hello. I hope you're
Hello.
fine.
I'm fine, thank you. Hope you too.
Thank you. In my community, many young women have limited access to reliable health information. Topics such as menstrual health, nutrition, and mental well-being. And they are often not discussed openly, and which can lead to confusion and health risks. Through my work and volunteering experience, I noticed that many girls want to learn, but do not know where to find accurate information. And yeah, this inspired me to start a small initiative focused on improving health literacy among young women. Um, yeah, which is my project in Women Ascension.
Okay. That's very interesting. That's very good. And I love the fact that you already took a step forward in transforming your story into an opportunity. But you can even take it further. Instead of saying young women, because sometimes it's very convenient to sit and do things online. But ask yourself that sometimes the real people who need this information, if you have a phone at least to be connected to these groups, that means you can easily go on Google and Google certain things, certain symptoms. But what about those women in those interior areas? I'm not saying you should risk your life. Please don't do that. Brishna, stay with us. But if you have the opportunity to even if it's in a town, there are people, market women who are not as opportune to, I don't know your condition there in Afghanistan, how the conditions under which the women live, if they also have market women like here in Africa. But there are women who don't have access to these opportunities. So, but you know their story, which is that they don't have access to accurate health information. So you can just take, let's say, every Saturday, if you have a group of friends, 4 or 5 of you, you go to the market square and you say, okay, you're going to do some door-to-door campaigns or a little sensitization campaign. You can just sit them down in a group. You ask, it looks very difficult, but once you start doing it, you're going to ask yourself that what's the worst that could happen? It looks very difficult, and if you're shy, you say no, but if you just sit them down, what are the difficulties that they are having? What are this? And then you post about it. Today, this session, we discussed this, and they said that this, once the authorities hear that this is, okay, this is a personal issue, or even organizations, you're going to have people coming to you to solve these problems and raising funds to help these women solve these problems. So I hope that was okay, Brishna. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to say that we are not allowed to go door to door and talk with
Oh,
people. Yeah, it
okay.
makes problem for us.
Oh, okay. If you're not allowed to, okay, thanks for sharing. It was really, that's why I was asking about the context. If you're not allowed, then please stay within the jurisdiction that you can do, because the worst thing to do would be to put yourself in danger trying to help others. While helping people, the most important thing is to help yourself first. So I'm very happy that you shared this. Is there any other thing we need to know about your context? Rishna, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, is there any other thing you need to share about the context of women that makes you maybe not able to do certain things with your initiative?
Not now. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you too. I think let's hear from the last person, Mafo Lilika from Cameroon, cybersecurity student. If you're here, please unmute your mic.
Yes, madam. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, as you said, my name is Mafo Lilika. I'm from Cameroon. The problem I've noticed in my country is something found in my community, and since you're from Cameroon, I'm sure you're aware of that, is the presence of dirty environment, like dirt everywhere dumped around in the environment. So you can find it everywhere at marketplace, at homes, everywhere, schools. In fact, there are some kind of collection of those being found at like every 100 meter of the road. So that is the problem I've noticed. And for the solution I'm bringing up, I'm actually working on building my personal association, my NGO. So I'm working on the legalization, which will deal with the education of kids on the importance of keeping the environment clean. Why do I started with kids? Because putting into the kids understanding that having a clean environment is very much important for our health and for our environment gave me a, let me say, a hand-off experience on like bringing the change, because I've noticed that the youth of my age or people of elderly age elderly ages are really skeptical in accepting the fact of not throwing dirt on the way. So I've choose to start with kids by educating them. Actually, I'm working with a school where I'm going once a week. It's true now we have stopped activities because our started school and it's a little bit busy. But we went there. We are going there once a week, educating kids, organizing activities, doing some kind of plays where we make it bring in keep in the idea of cleaning the environment like a play, but not just like something that to frustrate them, but something that is actually really fun of doing and makes everybody gain. So that is a big drawing of what I'm working on.
Okay, so that's very great. That's very good. I think you have the there's the story you have to tell, you have the actors, and then you even have the solution. But going back to what exactly, you have to really apply the act of storytelling. Storytelling is the interactive art of using words, actions, and emotions to share narrative. Emotions, very important, with a beginning, a middle, and an end to entertain, educate, or inform. So your goal here is to educate and also inform. So it's fundamental human connection method that fosters connection and transforms facts into relatable experiences. So it should not be something that people are shocked to hear about, that this is your story or this is a story in your community that you've observed. Start talking about it on platforms. Wherever you go, let your friends know that I cannot throw a paper around her because that issue really worries her. So I think your organization, you're already on the right path. Just find the right sources to be able to make you help let the organization stand. And then I think from there you're ready to go. Just be sure to communicate and talk about your story, because it's only when youths like you talk about it that the government is going to hear. Thank you very much,
Okay,
Lelika.
okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other person who wants to share? Maybe before we go to the next activity. Okay, I think we continue then. You can go, Ham. Okay, I saw a hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead, please.
This Maureen. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and
Okay.
thank you for being there. You're
Okay,
welcome.
Maureen, thank you so much.
I've dropped 2 stories. One is about a dog bite. That is when I was very young, and
Okay.
we didn't have proper control, proper check. They just gave one traditional medicine, and that was it. Thank God it worked. But to me, as I've grown up, I see that, imagine that that thing wasn't because of the lack of proper medical care. So I think that that is an area that, as you've spoken, at least our stories, you have really inspired me. I just got this now. I have not worked on. As you are talking about story, I just look deep into me and I begin to see them coming on a line. And this another one I even wrote, and I erased it. I was living in an area where a gas store is just nearby, and I was almost burnt in the house. And to me, it's like that one too is a line of a story, because gas depots shouldn't be around where people are living, and especially in a congested area like that, can be so devastating. And then the next story that I wrote is, I noticed there's rape cases in areas of conflict. You know, when there is conflict, it's like people take advantage. And that is my project in the Women Ascension that I'll be working on to really address that issue in my own way. Thank you very much for tickling me to think right deep into me. I heard.
I think we are having
Is it
some
my line?
connectivity issue. I am unable to see our mentor, so correct me if you are seeing her.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. He is not here.
Yeah, I think so. We are having some kind of an issue. Let me see. Just give me a second. Now she's here. Thank you so much, Miss Cynthia. We are unable to hear you. So could you please check that you are unmute?
Okay, hello. Sorry for leaving. I don't know, my network. I don't know, I just disconnected unknowingly.
No worries. We all are having some kind of an issue with our internet, and yeah, this is really that situation. So yeah, this happens with all of us.
Okay, so maybe we can continue. Maureen was speaking, Maureen from Cameroon, and she was talking about her experience with, okay, let me just put it before I put the full screen. Maybe she can continue, so I just hear that and then we conclude and then we
Okay,
move on.
all right, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, I was talking about the last case of rape, and I said that in our conflict areas all over the world, we notice rape that is so rampant. And that is my project topic in the Women Ascension. I want to search deeper into the topic and see how I can contribute and bring solution to contribute to that area.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing, Maureen. I think when you're dealing with a sensitive topic like rape, I think what you can do is to distance yourself from that topic, distance yourself from it, because let it not seem like you have if you have a personal narrative, it would be good to share. But the best two ways I can recommend to distance yourself from it when you're storytelling is to, one, use voices. Talk to women themselves who have been raped. Don't sit in the house and make assumptions. Women are raped in this place, but it would be good to actually talk to the women and hear their narratives, and then you share their narratives. You must not use their names. It's very important to protect the identities of victims. You must not use their names, but you have the account documented. And secondly, like I said, do research. There are articles on women who have been raped. There are statistics. There are so many resources online that you can use to share that story. Since it's not maybe your personal encounter, you can use other resources that others have said to share it. If you want to see, there's even an organization that helps women who have been raped in crisis areas, but nobody knows about it. If you're storytelling on that, it would be good to find these organizations online and then bring them support that, okay, I have a woman in Cameroon who was raped during this. And then like there was a woman, I think you know Mokolo Market. I heard about a woman there that when they were driving them from the road, they were arrested. And then she was arrested and put in the same cell with two other male inmates. She was raped in the night. And then the UN had to help her and come in. You as Maureen cannot help her, but you know people who can help her. So the more you tell stories and you bring resources to your attention, okay, there's this article, there's this woman, for example, Gabrielle Union was raped at her workplace, but she still stands strong. You share these resources with them, and you're going to garner the attention of people that are going to help them. Even if you don't, you've done your quota. So I think I saw Rihanna's hand up. Can we go to the next,
Thank you
please?
very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, and as for the dog bite issue, I think there are so many resources on that. There are so many antidotes and everything. You can start sharing on different breeds of dogs online so that someone knows how to identify a dog. If it bites you, you know what to do. I think, Rihanna, maybe you have the floor now.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes. Hello, dear Miss Cynthia. I hope you're doing well, and hello to everyone. Thank you so much for giving me the chance. So in my community, there are many problems and challenges, unfortunately, such as limited access to quality of education, environmental issues, and also inequality between men and women. So this problem affected many people, especially young pupils, and especially women, and make it harder to achieve their dreams and improve their lives. So by these kids, I care about these issues, and I decided to take action at my level. I'm 19 years old and I'm a teenager, so also an ambassador in the 100 program. So me and some of other ambassadors together, we create an organization that it's focused on supporting important global goals, and that can help communities grow and develop. And also it helped me to send my voice for words, and it's done.
Okay, that's so great. That is so great. And I'm very happy that you have the courage to do what you're doing already at your age. That's so nice. And I think aspects like equality, there are things that are very documented on. And somewhere like your country, I think it's something that affects you greatly, but you stand tall as one of the proofs that you have not accepted this and you're rising above the narrative. So I think your story is very important. And it's one that you can decide to start sharing on. Because once you start sharing and talking about it, it's going to give other women courage. You can stand as a beacon of hope. You're 19, but you're attending sessions, you're an ambassador. There are so many opportunities online. You can decide to use yourself as an inspiration and share about it online so that any woman who is facing equality in your country or who is before any woman you get the chance to speak with in your country can know that, okay, she did it, so why can't I? So that's also a powerful aspect of storytelling. You stand as a beacon of hope for others. So in this, I think you're the only hand that was raised. Maybe you can go to the next now. Let's leave 1 minute if any other person wants to speak. So I can charge my laptop for 1 second, please. Okay, I think we have exhausted everything. Please just give me 1 second. Let me charge my laptop.
Till then, if anyone would like to share the same story from their community, then we are open. We have other fellows as well. So anyone who would like to share anything before we move on?
Sisanko Sin Lovo. I think you're from Zimbabwe.
Yes. So in my community, I have not the issue to do with it, especially in rural areas where parents might be involved in drug abuse and children are now caught in between the toxic environment. Maybe boys, it's for them to join in and they just sleep and knock there. But for girls, they try to escape and find marriages. And then after that, find that because they have nothing to bring in that marriage, they are abused, and also they have nothing to feed the baby, the children with. So then in that, concerning that, so my advocate actually is that maybe if you could have skill centers, like Scout for girls and boys, help centers, or extracurricular activities where they can actually have their minds active, and also even if they drop out of school, because parents will not be paying fees, they have something to get. They have weaving, they have sewing, all the activities that they can do. And then also that will help the community as initiatives, and also other projects that are community based, and also the venting platforms, especially for women, that they can be given a chance to vent out their emotions because they bottle a lot. So this is my idea. Thank you so much.
Okay, that's very, very interesting. And thank you so much for sharing. I think the first thing that children who have such parents need is support. What they need right now, firstly, is support. The people who are supposed to protect you are not protecting you. They're endangering themselves, and by that, making themselves to be endangered. So you now, as a child, you become a protector. Meanwhile, you are supposed to be the one protected. I think the first thing is to protect yourself, is to give them a support mechanism. So why don't you start a little organization? Association of kids. Nobody will want to admit that your parent is a drug addict, but you can start a support association for these children to help support them. And you tell their stories. Like I said, it's very important to protect the victim, but it's also equally very important to say that, okay, I'm going to give them support. When you discuss with them, you come online, you do research, you find articles and links, books that they can read. When you read things of people who are going through the same thing as you, you're going to believe, okay, I'm not alone in this world. And even if they don't have a safe space at home, they can have a safe space in the place that you have created. And that will be very important. Thank you for noticing that. And I think if you go online and you research, you're going to find organizations. Maybe I think this is one of the rare things. This is something that many people have not explored. Children of drug addicts, they always support addicts, but what about the people that they bring into this world? So I think that's a very original idea that if you explore, you can first of all give them a support system and then work on giving them, if you can invite their parents to rehab sessions, if they refuse, your job is to help while maintaining distance, of course. They are not your children, you're just there to help them. And by telling their story, using active storytelling tools like the ones we have shared today, you become very empowered and even more empowered to attract the attention of the accurate headquarters and the people who are supposed to talk about this. Okay, we have many more hands. Maybe Ropa, you have, okay, no, sorry. Yes, Ropa, you had to add something? Or it was a mistake? Okay.
No, it's okay. I was actually raising my hand to add my story, and I'm also Margaret, but I am an advocate for climate change. And this month, we are actually We have the ceremony for 6 years, where in 2019 in Mozambique and Zimbabwe, or the Eastern Highlands part of Zimbabwe, which is in Chimanimani, we had over 1,000 people who died because of Cyclone Idai, the floods caused by climate change. But the incident happened, and people lost. A very close friend of mine lost her wife and 2 children. So the incident happened, and we have said nothing about Cyclone Idai. We have not, we don't have memorials to remember the victims who died, because we don't want to say ignorance, but we need to advocate more about climate change and what the government can do to be able to make sure that people are positioned well, or even the after effects. We have no story that goes back to track on them. And it's just like nothing happened. So how then do I continue to advocate, even in a country which has more needs, the economy, the politics, but climate change is happening, and we have victims that died without knowing what really happened to them? What have we done to go back to them? Can we have sort of like a memorial, like dark tourism, where people can come and visit and they can see and point that these are the effects of climate change, and make it a priority to keep the people safe in any other regions of Zimbabwe? So how do I share my story? How do I have advocacy towards that? Because we have an example as a country, and I have close friends who lost their loved ones. That's my story.
All right, thank you very much. I don't know if you know about Mongabe. Mongabe is a platform that shares climate change story, because climate change is a very hot topic now. Some people say it exists, others say it doesn't exist. And then I think it's something that but you know that it exists because you've seen the consequences over the years. And it's something that you said, in a country that doesn't have enough resources, in a country that is not very developed. Let me tell you, climate change is one of the things that people abroad, there are so many there's the COP30, last year was in Belém, COP29, COP28. There are panel sessions on this. If you find the organization in charge of organizing the COP and you send them a project pitch, or even if you respond, you've done your part of sending an email to say, okay, in your country, you've noticed that this and this happens, and that there is these are the effects of climate change, and you want the world to know it. On your Facebook page or Substack, I hope you know Substack, all of you, Subctak. Substack is an app where you can write long form, you can write articles. So sometimes you don't need to pitch it or wait for someone else to buy your story. You just take a little photo at the burial ceremony, if that's allowed, or if you can, not photos of people, maybe just the environment. And then you share your little think piece. For example, Mary lost John on this very fateful day due to the devastating consequences of this. You have a few likes here and there, and the more it's like a position storytelling as something that is very easy. Before you start getting this recognition, it's going to take a while. But you're doing it just to seize it. So just by saying that you're going to take the commitment to share, you're going to do research. The organizations that help these kind of situations, there are even media organs. If you write a little feature story, this session is too short to do feature story. Obviously, we'll have other sessions on that, how to write a feature in detail. You pitch it to a little organization or a news magazine. You pitch it to them, and you want attention to be brought to it. There are lots of climate activists. You can collaborate with climate activists in other countries, not just yours, that are going to come together to help you to fight this problem, because the climate is not your problem. It affects everybody. So when someone reads the story of how many lives have been lost, when you have the facts, you have who died, when, and why, you say it was climate, and then there are government organizations that are going to come to you and say, no, you have told this story well. We have to support these people. Climate is a very hot topic now. There are a lot of people willing to spend millions to assist them. So you just write a little project in your country, and that you're looking for sponsors, and that you want to attend the COP31 to share this plight. And I believe you're going to have support, whether you have it today. If it doesn't work this time, you say, okay, you want to attend, you carry it forward, you continue telling the story, carrying small actions. You now make a better project for COP32. It takes persistence to change something. It's not in 2 years, not in 1 year, it's not in 3 years, even 5, or even sometimes 10 or 20 years that is going to change. But one day someone is going to come and see what you did and said, this woman did her quota. Let me continue from here. And if you're not doing it alone, When you're no longer there, there's someone who can do it for you, and you ensure that there's sustainability in what you do, so that even when you're not there, your activity continues. I hope I was able to give you some insights.
Very, very excellent. Thank you so much, Madam Cynthia.
Okay, you're welcome. I think there was another hand. We have 58 minutes left, so we'll do this for 10 more minutes and then carry on, please. I saw another hand. If I'm wrong, please let me know. Okay, Beatrice Ngala, please. Beatrice, if you
Hi,
can hear
Miss
us.
Cynthia.
Okay,
Yes.
hi.
Yeah. So I'm a Cameroonian and working in the northwest region of Cameroon. So
Nice to hear.
I would like to start by asking, because I don't know how to present this story, since it has kind of, if I have to give a title to it, it will have like 3 different titles. I don't know if I'm
Okay.
going to talk about the effect of social media on teenagers, or I could title it peer influence, or I could also title it the effect of conflict on the internally displaced persons. So it's a story that actually is ongoing, is developing. Like I started following up the story just this week as a counselor. Someone called me and told me about this young guy who is just, sorry, I'm giving a little bit of details, but it's not going to be that detailed, sorry. So it's like this guy is just 13, getting to 14, and he said he has been, sorry, please don't mind my language, I'm just giving the story the way it is. He has been sleeping with his brothers, 2 brothers and a sister. Okay, the 2 brothers are from one is from one person, one mother, and then the other one is the step brother, and the sister is the step sister. I asked him, so what happened that you're doing this thing? Say, until when we were back in our home before we came here to Bamenda, we used to watch pornography on my friends' phones, and then they will ask us to practice it within us. So they were kind of doing something, men. Okay. Then when he transferred from the village to Bamenda with his father and with the younger brother, he was already addicted to it, and then he was doing it with the direct younger brother. He introduced it to the brother. So when the father leaves and go to work, they will be doing that thing. That thing. Then when the same mother finally came with the other children, he started sleeping with the sister and the last brother, who is just 3.5 years old. So this kind of story, the first thing I had to go to the home, and I saw the home too. What is the home? The home is a tiny bedroom, one, and the bed is there. So the parents are apparently sleeping on that bed, and they are sleeping on the floor. I can't tell what happens in the night between husband and wife. The children automatically, maybe they're observing, they're seeing what is happening. So what was first? I mean, my first thing or my plan of action was to, if I had a way to remove these children from this space, I would have done it like ASAP. But I could not. So I went round looking through the referral pathway to see if I can even see an organization or any safe space for children like that. I didn't find it. I not find it at all. So now in my head, if I'm to give a solution to this, or just from this story, I'm thinking already on how I can get some foster home, some foster parents, how I can get some safe spaces and all of that. So it's like I said, it's a developing story, it's ongoing. But from what you have said, I am now seeing, like, okay, first thing is like, okay, one story can have multifaceted headings. Now I'm looking for the solution. I'm still just looking for the solution. And I don't know how, God help me, how I can go about it. And
but
well, I don't want to maybe talk again, Cynthia. Please, I want to ask, you are a Cameroonian, you know exactly how difficult it is to tell some open stories in our country. Yes, they are pertinent things that you can talk that might affect hierarchy. How do you go about this? Because there are so many things I see, there are so many things I want to talk about, but I am afraid because you know the country. So how do we write some of these things? How do we even advocate them? How do we speak out on these stories? Help me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Beatrice, for sharing. I think that the case of that child is outright child abuse, firstly, and then secondly, it's child abuse. That's it, and then you can report it to the social services. That's not a story to share. That is child abuse. So I think first of all, if the children at least they say they're 13 and 14, report the parents to social welfare. And whether the case is continuing, if it doesn't, you can write a formal complaint and deposit it at the police station in Bamenda for those people to be followed up. If not, what you can do is that you can approach an NGO. You go to Google NGOs that support children in Cameroon, NGOs in Bamenda. Sometimes phone will even work. Phone is even difficult. Just go to the office of any NGO and you tell them there's some things you cannot do alone. You tell them that, okay, this is what you've seen, this is what you've noticed, but you believe that those children need support and they need to leave that house. So what can you do, first of all, to support the children if you can't do it alone? And then about the aspect of how you can talk about certain things in a country like Cameroon, I believe it's to say that children, is to say that Cameroon, when you're doing your storytelling, you should first of all know that you are not there to attack somebody. When you're writing, you're not saying children are in danger in Bamenda because the SDO is not doing anything. No. Your job or what you think you can do is to talk about the problem. In Bamenda, this is what's happening. And you don't say it as if you're saying it yourself. You say it and you quote sources. According to a passerby on Mile 4 Street, this happened. According to this happened. Once your storytelling is designed to attack people in authority, you're always going to have issues. That's why there's some journalists who have always been in and out of prison. But you are not a journalist, you're a counselor. So if you want to decide that, okay, you'll be sharing your stories, you're sharing personal accounts. It's not disturbing anybody. If an SDO sees your post, it's very normal to be afraid. Like I said, it's very, very normal to be afraid. You should fear for your life. But what are you more scared of? What are you more scared of? Seeing children go wayward or being in prison? If you're scared of, you should be scared of guarding your life and your safety, but you should also know how to strike a balance by doing your journalism and doing what you know, doing your storytelling, doing your storytelling, focusing on the problem and the story and bringing out people's narratives and not on attacking people. Hope I've been able to, because what you brought up is a whole other session on its own, where we can see how to develop that. I hope I was able to give a little answer so we can move on to the next. If yes, just write in the chat box. Let's go to Brishna, please.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I'm audible?
Yes.
As I've said before about my project and about the problems in my country, so I have a questions, ma'am. I know people, I know young girls that they have a smartphone and they have access to internet. So I make them aware to join in these sessions, and you know, I give them information. But there is a girls I know them. They do not have a smartphone. They do not have access to internet, and also there is a cultural restrictions as well. Their families do not let them to speak with us, and you know, especially about these topics like menstrual health and sexual health. So, what should I do in this situation?
Okay, Brishna, would you permit me finish the session? Now we're doing sharing. I've noted your question down. I'll answer at the end. Would you permit me do that, please, so we can finish and then we go full in? I've seen many questions in the chat box. Could you permit me do that?
Yes, ma'am. No problem.
Okay. Okay, let's move on then. You can just go now on your phone after this session and then you note 3 news sources, because how can you tell these stories? I think Beatrice, who was speaking before, she spoke about how you should be able to report these stories. I think you can be able to tell and distance yourself from stories when you follow what others have said. How many of us follow the news every day in our country? How many of us read articles, not just read articles to actually be informed? So I think the task that you have now is to follow just decide, write down three articles or three news sources. I can help you. You can write Reuters, ABC News, CNN, or BBC. You download the app or you follow their WhatsApp channel, and you decide that you're going to, when you get to wake up in the morning, you add that to your morning routine. Morning routine is not only washing face, skincare, jogging. Add that to your morning routine. You're going to scroll. Instead of scrolling, you scroll on these news sources and you read. When you're reading something, you find out that, okay, for example, I'm in Pakistan, you read this story, okay, this is happening here, okay. You are informed with the trends, and when you're informed, you have ideas, you see, especially social things like magazines like The Continent, magazines like Mongabe, there are so many, the New York Times, there are so many, you can go just search the news in your country. There are so many news sources online. When you're reading about things that youth have done in other places, you will have ideas to know about youth. You have ideas about what you can do in your own country, because the problems you face sometimes are unique, but other times are things that people in other countries are facing. The more you read, the more you know about them, and then you can adapt their solutions to yours. So right now, as we're speaking, write down 3 news sources that after this session, you're going to download and you're going to follow them every morning. And then I asked, what is your dream company to work for and why? Follow them on social media today, not tomorrow, today. I think Aska shared that Google is her dream company, and I'm really proud of you for saying that and sharing that in the chat, because I think you're just one opportunity away from connecting with your dream company. Because by following them on social media, one day they're going to post an internship, one day they'll be doing an open door, one day there'll be an opportunity that you can come in. And the more you connect with them, the more you get closer to that. So never think it's impossible, Aska. I hope to see you work in Google one day, and I hope that each of you have a dream company to work for, or your dream is to start your own. What you can do is to interact with others who are good. Follow Google's LinkedIn page. Follow them on all social media. If one day they'll post on links that they are offering internships, you can easily apply. One day they'll post that you can easily apply. So I think by doing that, you'll get a step closer to achieving your dreams. I spoke about resources, where to find opportunities to apply for, where to find funding opportunities. Because funding opportunities are also very important, because to give solution, you need resources. All of us are a bit younger, you need resources sometimes to fund these solutions. Like Bishna spoke about smartphones. If you want to get some smartphones or access to internet to some women, you need resources to do many projects. So the first place is LinkedIn. You connect with people who they are funders on LinkedIn, and by posting on LinkedIn, you can get like my opportunity to speak here and be a mentor on Women Ascension. I was approached on LinkedIn just to share. And then on LinkedIn, the more you post, people can reach out to you as they cannot reach out to you. You too can reach out to people that, okay, I've seen this person, they work at this company that usually funds this. So you're going to text the CEO, or if you find their email, you're going to email the CEO, and you're going to say that, hello, there's this, I don't know if you'll be willing to partake, and then we can do another session on cold, the templates for sending text messages to cold DM people or sending cold emails. I think that on LinkedIn, there are just so many resources. And by scrolling long enough, you're going to find something that you're eligible for. Sometimes if you're in Afghanistan, they'll say, no, it's open to women only from Pakistan. Sometimes you see opportunities, it's open only to women in Afghanistan. Sometimes women in Africa. Sometimes women in Zimbabwe. Sometimes women in Zambia. Sometimes women in Nigeria. Or sometimes people in Cameroon. So there are opportunities for women globally, or even journalists especially. There's Oya opportunities. It's on the screen, Oya opportunities. You can note it down. You follow them on social media. They always share opportunities, all sorts of fellowships, all sorts of links. There's opportunity desks too. And then there's your local authorities. For a country like mine, Cameroon, I think there are many Cameroonians here. There are ministries, especially the Ministry of Higher Education, that has scholarships in their offices. But nobody knows about them because youth don't approach them. These people are not very digital. Sometimes if you have the opportunity to interact with a local authority on any capacity, do well to speak about the issues that you have. Do well to connect with them, and they'll connect you with these opportunities. Networking can be online or offline. Even online, you see this person who is doing amazing things, just try. You can send them a DM. They can respond as they may not respond. But don't die asking yourself, what if I did it? Just do it. If it doesn't work, another person will respond. If this person doesn't respond, another person will respond. There will always be somebody out there that is going to give you a helping hand. If you send 10 messages to 10 people, I bet you at least 2 will respond. The other 8, they were not meant to be in your story. And then lastly, there's Google. How many of us have sat and Googled opportunities for women in Pakistan? Opportunities for women in Zambia? Just like that, a lot of research, mastering the art of research will get you out of any hole you've ever put yourself into. Research, research, research all the time. And the image you can see here is my little initiative I'm doing in Cameroon, where I won the UNESCO Media and Information Literacy Youth Hackathon Prize in 2025 by teaching orphans media and information literacy skills. So this is a picture of them here in their classroom. I think Beatrice, you should know, this is Bamenda. This is Mispa Orphanage in Bamenda. And I try to teach them, since they have been missing a lot of classes due to the Anglophone crisis, they are no longer on the same level. So I want them to be media and information literate and be able to compete for opportunities in the world. And I'm preparing another session in Bamenda. So this is my solution that I'm doing to show you that, and this is a picture to attest to that, to show you that sometimes it's not just to speak and speak. And when you have ideas, if you have, like, I usually joke that plans without action is planting. So you must have, when you have a plan, do well to act on it. When you act on it, that is what makes your story transform into an opportunity. You can do it even in the slightest, littlest way as possible. So we are ending soon. The key lessons we have here is everyone has a story. Every one of you has a story. Even when I've asked for stories, you're saying, oh, in your community, in your this. But tonight, when you go to bed, close your eyes for a few minutes and reflect, what is my story? Can I remember where I was born? What kind of home did I grow up in? What kind of school did I go to? Were my parents rich? What were the things we were able to afford? What did I do when I was younger? What do I like? What do I not like? And try to write it down somewhere, or in your computer, or even by hand. Write it down somewhere. And you see that that is going to influence the type of stories that you want to solve in the community. Ask yourself, what is your story? Even if what you want to solve is not related to that, but you should know yourself first. True, because true stories, they inspire, they inform, and then they create opportunities. You must not share your personal story, but that story is going to help you share other stories, because women's voices like ours are very important. So we should make sure to share them confidently. Simple and responsible, most importantly, responsible storytelling can lead to learning, leadership, and even change in our communities. So your voice matters. Thank you very much. Make sure to use stories to inspire and create opportunities, and you can make a difference in your community and beyond. Thank you so very much for your time. You guys have been amazing with your interactive sessions. So now we're going to take the few questions. We'll start with Brishna about where you were talking about.
I'm really sorry for interrupting you, but I just wanted to remind that we have 10 minutes. So you may take a few questions, and then after 10 minutes, we will conclude the session.
Okay, yes, okay. I'll start with Brishna's question, which was about girls whom you cannot save and whose parents are very strict. Like I said, there are some things that you, as a storyteller, one of the most heartbreaking things is that you can't save everybody. Because all of us are born with an instinct to save somebody, but it's okay if that person that you save is yourself. Because don't put yourself in a situation to want to save everybody and then you end up not saving yourself. So if you know a girl or a group of girls whose parents don't allow you to speak to them, if you try once, twice, it doesn't go, maybe you drop it. Because it's very heartbreaking, but as honest as it is, you cannot save everybody. You cannot save everybody, and that's just how it is. You can't save everybody. You can't save everybody. So just decide that, okay, you're going to try, and then you're going to reach out to some organizations. You're going to reach out to some organizations and say, okay, or start a little project. You're trying to do some fundraising to help girls get mobile phones, or even if they get, with their parents accept. You're working on changing the parents' mentality, and you're hoping that one day, while sharing your story, you're going to connect with a local authority or with an organization who is going to speak. And one day you're going to breed a generation of parents who no longer restrict their girls or think that some topics are taboo for the girl child. Hope I was able to help. Whoops. I'll go to the next question. I think most of the questions are already in the chat box. Okay, so I'll just try to answer very shortly as we have just a few minutes left. How will I drive a powerful conversation or influence and a powerful comment section when telling my story on LinkedIn? You're not sharing your story for likes or comments. Even if sometimes your post has one like, that one person that saw it, you have impacted. But I'm going to share with you a tip when posting on LinkedIn. When posting on LinkedIn, try not to do copy and paste. Like you write on another app and then you copy the text and paste here. To get more engagement on LinkedIn, what you can do is to write the text originally on LinkedIn. Don't copy from somewhere else and then paste it. Open your LinkedIn app, put that plus sign which shows that you're going to make a new post, and then write your caption. If you are attaching an image, attach it there, and that's going to give you more engagement because LinkedIn rewards originality, and that's what you should strive for. So on LinkedIn, and the likes will come eventually. Eventually, they will come. Consistency. If you post every single day about the same topic for 1 year, people are going to notice that, okay, this guy, this is his thing, or this lady, this is her thing. So though in the beginning, your motivation should not be likes or comments. It should be impact. If 3 people like it, you have impacted 3 people that day. You post another 5 people like you have impacted 5 people. Social media has deceived us to thinking that 19 likes is not enough. If you walk on the street and 19 people tell you that you look good, you'll feel very confident. But in the beginning, you should not expect it to come as easily. The next question is by Chikondi. When telling sensitive stories involving women who fear their partners or their community, how can we protect their identity while still sharing their truth? Like I said, in journalism, it's very important to conceal someone's identity, especially a victim or a child. So when you're sharing their story, you can use phrases that journalists use, like a woman whose name is, you can just give an example, Leslie. You put in bracket, real name protected. You can share her story under a different name, or you say a woman who refuses to be identified, share that. Those are some terms, because it's very important. You cannot want to share someone's story to the point that they get endangered. You should protect yourself and then protect them. A woman who refuses to be identified, because you cannot gain someone's trust by publishing their identity like that. You ask her if she's not okay with it. Then you share her story by giving her a fake name, and then you put in bracket, real name concealed for intimacy issues or whatever. Or you can say a woman who refuses to be identified. That's the best way to protect your victim's identity. Or altogether, if you're filming in multimedia, you can film them from the back. They are backing the camera. You can still hear my voice now, but I'm speaking. They are backing the camera, but they are speaking. If you're filming or doing multimedia, that's one of the most effective ways to film them if they accept to be filmed, or if you can film them, their husbands or whoever they're hiding from will still recognize them. So if you're doing text or audio, you can not name them with their real names, but the message has been passed. And then when you now have the resources, you can come get them out of that situation. Is it necessary to share them? Because in Afghanistan, from Rihanna, there's not a good security for those that they write or speak about these problems, unfortunately. You've said it yourself, Rihanna, unfortunately. And like I said, you can't save everybody. So it's okay if you can save yourself. And so if you decide that, okay, these issues, you can't talk about them, you cannot talk about it. But there are people who are not in Afghanistan who can talk about it. So what you do is, if you can go online, publications about Afghanistan, there are so many articles. They write this magazine down, Global Voices. They publish online a lot. So if you meet an editor and then you pitch them this story, I am this, and this, I've witnessed this, but I cannot talk about it because of security issues. But I think it's a very good story that I think you or one of your reporters can work on. If they take it, okay. If they don't, fine. They love such story ideas that come from the field. So you've given them, they will talk about it because they have the protection, they're a media house. But you distance yourself from it by giving another person to talk about it, and the impact will still be the same. So first thing is to protect yourself. If you're in an environment where you cannot, please don't. Women Ascension, you're here with other women, share it here or share it where you're safe. But if it's somewhere where you're not safe, Please do not. Protect yourself first and protect your victim. Because by sharing it, sometimes you can also endanger them. If you see that you're not in a place to protect yourself or them, don't share. Share it to someone who can help them. How can young people or beginners start working in journalism or storytelling when they have limited resources or opportunities? I think resources and like I shared a list of places here to get opportunities, and I've told you about Google too. But I think in the beginning, the best way is just to start with what you have and things will keep coming along. If you have some mobile connection to connect to Women Ascension, I think you have some time to go on LinkedIn and share a piece or two. Or global journalism. Starting with what you have, that's the mobile phone that you have, or there are organizations like, write this down, International Network for Journalists, IJNet, you can write that down, you Google them, International Center for Journalists, you can write down, you Google it after, those organizations that help young journalists, and there are so many other journal resources that you can connect with. You can connect with global platforms of journalists who are going to help you online. And starting with what you have means with your mobile phone. And applying for opportunities means that when you apply for an opportunity, you're going to get support because from one opportunity, better ones are going to come. So just start with what you have and do the best with what you have. So that with that mobile phone and mobile connection that you have, you're going to connecting with these people, just connecting. I've told you too, IJNet, International Center for Journalists, DW, follow all the media resources you want to work with. And I bet you one day you're going to see an opportunity that you apply for and you'll be taken, and from there your life will change. Next, what if we want to correct something, but everyone is saying if you have this problem, then don't do it. Instead of complaining, leave it. Ask
Apologies, ma'am.
Okay.
Apologies, ma'am. Since we have another session from another department, so we would like to conclude. Ms. Zoha will be collecting these questions and she will be sending it to you. So now I will be proceeding towards vote of thanks.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
The other questions later.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, everyone who shared their stories and participated in today's discussion. It has been wonderful to see such engagement and curiosity from our community. Before we conclude, I would like to sincerely thank our today's speaker, Ms. Cynthia, for sharing her valuable insights and experiences with us today. Your reflections on storytelling has given us so much to think about, particularly in how we should engage with information and communicate important issues in our respective fields or communities. I would like to thank you all, the fellows, for joining in and actively engaging into this session. Conversations like this are important because they allow us to learn from each other's perspective and strengthen collaboration across our academia and professional communities. I hope that today's discussion has encouraged all of us to think more critically about the role of storytelling, responsible communication, and the power of information in shaping understanding and driving meaningful conversation. Thank you once again for being a part of this conversation. We look forward to more opportunities for shared learnings and collaboration in the future. Thank you once again for being a part of this mentorship session. And ma'am, thank you a lot to you. And we will see you again for another part 2.
Okay, just to say that, please, if everyone can make a LinkedIn post, my LinkedIn name is Cynthia Ebot. So you just do a post, and if you can tag me on LinkedIn or connect with me on LinkedIn so I can know everyone more personally, I'll be very happy.